Sad, sad, sad. Let's move to our discussion. So these days, we are actually exploring, discussing the parables, similes given by the Buddha when he presented his teachings. I mean, his teachings are full of parables. And that's common to all religious and I think mainly religious literature, similes and parables, because they are vehicles to carry the meaning and people easily remember them. So let us visit another simile given by the Buddha. And this simile is about two animals. One is a jackal. You call it a fox. Jackal and the fox are the same, right? So, yeah, one is a jackal, other one is a tortoise. It's tortoise, right? Tortoise. So, Buddha was giving teachings to monks. So he was sitting in a grove, and he was sitting on a piece of rock, and other monks sitting around him. So he would just start to give a teaching about training the mind, about disciplining the senses actually. And then, of course, living in the forest. So I think Buddha thought that maybe giving an example or parable from the forest. And he said that once, one day, a hard-shelled tortoise was foraging for food in the evening along the shore of a lake. It gently moving and foraging, looking for food. So it's slowly moving, the little thing. At the same time, from the other end of the lake, a jackal was also foraging, looking for food. Do you know the food for the jackal? Yeah, they eat anything, meat, small animals. So now the tortoise is moving slowly looking for food from this direction. And the jackal is also moving, looking for food from this direction. Okay, so they were moving, looking for food. So can you imagine what's going to happen now? The Buddha is explaining this simile. So both coming, and they were coming close and closer. Moment that jackal saw that tortoise, he was so happy. Oh, today I didn't have to walk that long. Their eyes, the food, which is a tortoise, is quite happy. But the tortoise, as soon as he saw the jackal, he was not that happy. And he decided, oh, that's an obstacle. Today, not even to find food. Today, I have to fight for my life, not to find food. But he had a protection plan. So as soon as he saw the jackal, what he did, he put all his four legs inside his shell, and also pushed back his head also inside the shell. Now, the tortoise is inside the shell. And so, of course, when the jackal comes, there's not much to eat for the jackal in a tortoise, but they will try. So when the jackal reached near the tortoise, and tortoise is inside the shell. Everything inside the shell. According to the simile, jackal to that, okay, you just took everything inside, but I will not leave. And he is hovering over the tortoise waiting. I'm going to wait. If you put any leg or head out, I will grab it and I will eat it. So, but usually we teach this story to our children, right? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Usually whenever we teach such a lesson to our children, we give them some homework, right? We ask them to draw a picture out of this story. And I was thinking, if we were a group of children, I will ask you to draw a picture how the jackal was hovering over that tortoise. It could be a nice painting, right? Nice picture. How he's like hovering over that tortoise, waiting for him to, waiting for him to put whatever limb or a head out. If the tortoise stretch one of the limbs, 4 limbs, or his head, and I will seize right there and tear it off and will eat it. That's the plan of the jackal. So he was waiting. But the tortoise was so determined. Tortoise was so determined. I'm not going to put any of my limb, any of my head out. So let's see who's winning. So according to this story, jackal waited, and waited. And the tortoise was so determined, was also very disciplined, and stayed disciplined inside the shell. After a while, jackal thought that, half of the day is gone, and this hard shell I cannot eat. Looks like this tortoise is too intelligent, and so he thought that even he put one limb, it's not going to be a lot of food. So he kind of he lost his interest and then left, and then the tortoise were able to continue his journey after that. So this is the parable. After giving this parable, Buddha said that in the same way, monks, there's a kind of jackal hovering over us, waiting for an opportunity. And actually, the jackal is not really external force, the possibility of our unwholesome thoughts to manifest. And our possibility, we have a dual possibility in us. One is the possibility of wholesome thoughts, wholesome emotions. Other one is a possibility of unwholesome, unskillful, negative thoughts and emotions. So after giving this, the Buddha said that our unwholesome thoughts and emotion can assail us, can overwhelm us, just like a jackal. But all these unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome emotions will occur with reference to one of the senses. Any unwholesome thoughts that we are experiencing has originated from a preliminary experience of a sense, from a sense experience. So if we understand that, there we will get some control, some management of our unwholesome emotions, our negative thoughts. And Buddha said that in the same way, and sometimes Buddha used the term Mara, the personification of all the unskillful tendencies that we have. So if we unguard, if we do not guard our senses, if we are not really mindful of what we see, what we smell, what we taste, what we hear, what we smell, if we are not really mindful of these experiences happening within us, the one simple experience can bring us to a whole different direction and then make us cry and make us angry, make us do things and all kind of foolish thing. It's just like a tearing off and dragging us to whole completely different direction. So sometimes what we hear, sometimes what we see, sometimes what we smell, sometimes what we taste, sometimes what we feel, and sometimes what we remember. Because mind can also function as a sensory organ. So we have 6 sensory organs in that sense. So what Buddha says that just like a tortoise, if we guard our 5 senses, we may be able to manage the negative experiences that we may experience. Manage doesn't mean that we are going to stop, because it is not only we are part of our experience, but there are also external situations, external people. But the way we relate to that, our interpretation, our reactions, our responses will create the final experience. And so, but remember that then Buddha explains how we can actually guard our senses. If you really follow the simile, it may sound like we should keep all our senses shut, right? But every simile has a limit. But when Buddha explains how we can really guard our senses, he didn't mention that you should close your eyes all the time. You should shut your senses. It's not what he said. He said that on seeing a form with your eye, do not grasp at any details by which evil, unskillful thoughts such as greed, hatred, or delusion will assail you. That means that what Buddha is saying, that how we can guard our senses is actually let our eyes see things, let our ear hear things, but try to keep our experience in actual sensory experience that we are getting, and not letting that actual experience to start a whole series of thoughts. We can call it snowballing of thoughts.
Don't add to it.
Huh?
Don't add to it.
Don't add to it. Exactly. Don't add to it.
Just see it for what it is.
Exactly. That's what Buddha said, that sense restraint or guarding of the sense doors. And he called it, these are doors. Just like, for the tortoise, those things are like, invite danger, and also that's going to be useful too. So these are the doors. These are the doors that bring wholesome things and also bring unwholesome things too. So from that simile, that's what Buddha said, that so we have this sense doors that can be an opening doors for us to have all kind of pain and frustration and anger, sadness, all kind of things. But if we try to limit our experience to what it is without adding them, and we may not have that many difficult experiences. We may be able to protect ourselves most of the time from unnecessary difficult emotions that we are experiencing. So, and thinking about this simile, I was also thinking that when the tortoise is inside the shell, I don't know, how does he feel? Is it like very cozy, like a sense of, right? Comfortable, right? So I feel like when we learn to meditate, and when you find kind of anchor right here rather than like outside, we find anchor right here and find that a deeper place that we can kind of come and rest. It is like like a tortoise, like taking everything inside and resting there as long as you want. You have need, you can bring everything out and go out, right? So this also helps us understand that usually we rely on other things, whatever, things that we hear and smell and taste as a way to please ourselves. But that's okay. But we can also develop an inner place that we can come back and rest. And then that will be the place, that will be the source of our happiness. So that the stability that we develop within ourselves, the place that we can come back and rest in our body, in our settled mind. That is so peaceful. It may not be as exciting as a movie, but it's so deeply peaceful and so healing, and also a deeper joy. So that is why it's important to develop our skill, our practice of meditation. The more we practice, more we clarify, more we clear up that space here, so we can come back and rest like a tortoise. Yeah, tortoise sometimes, right? But according to this simile, but Buddha is saying that just like the tortoise were disciplined at that moment, and not to be a victim to a jackal, we can also train our senses not to be victims to our unwholesome emotions and thoughts that will bring us to all different difficult places.